Today I am being a lifesaver. I need to rescue things and I need to rescue my trees. Not so long ago, I actually think just before the winter, I planted 5 trees that represent the 5 of us that make up Tamako Homestead. And I was a little bit concerned that they weren't going to make it through some of the seasons, and they did. They did amazingly well. But now, as you can hear, they're struggling. And the reason why they are struggling is we have had a very dry and hot spring, which is kind of unusual. We went from an incredibly wet winter to a brutally hot and dry spring. So the ground and all the bushes went from being lush, green, full of moisture to just bone dry pretty quickly. It's crazy. But some of the other trees are doing okay. This is the liquid amber. It's okay, the leaves are just starting to brown off. So this one's okay. The other one up here, which is the one I thought had died, this is the pin oak. It's actually doing pretty well, high up in the top, and that's kind of where I want it to be sprouting from, in any case, to create a canopy. And then the 2 London planes, which is a quercus something, the one I also always forget the name of, they're still alive, they've still got green leaves, but towards the bottom they've dropped all their leaves, and this is just a defense mechanism. I'm not worried because, look, branches are flexible, which means they still have moisture, they're still salvageable, which is good. That one, you can see small leaves, brown leaves, it's struggling. And the one at the bottom, the water oak, that one is in serious need of rescue. So what I'm going to do, and if you haven't yet considered this, you really do, because it's so simple, it's so cheap, but it's highly, highly effective. And that is, let me just get to the back here, gutter pipes. So this is a 45 centimeter piece of gutter pipe, and I'm doing two lengths. I'm doing a 70 millimeter and a 45 millimeter. 450, sorry, completely wrong. It's an 80 millimeter pipe, and it's 450 mils long, 45 centimeters, and 700 mils, 70 centimeters long, with the idea that there's going to be a 10 centimeter piece that sticks out above the ground. And then the short one is going to be 30 centimeters under the ground, and the long one is going to be 60 centimeters under the ground. And the reason for that is, if you haven't seen the soil yet, or let's not even call it soil, let's just call it ground, it's rock hard. It's clay. So we all know what happens in clay when it gets hot. It bakes, it creates a crust on top, but also what's really good with clay is it retains a lot of moisture. So my thinking with those is, if I can break through that crusty layer on top and I can start drenching under the ground, then I can create a consistent and even and long-term watering solution that'll hopefully give these trees what they need. Now, it's called, I don't know, overseas there's a whole bunch of things like deep drip irrigation, deep hose, something. I'm just gonna stand in the shade, it's a bit hot. But in essence, there are a few different things you can do. You can just, what I'm gonna do, just cut them into lengths and have the bottom open. Because clay is so dense, it's going to take a while for that water to soak into the ground and disperse. And why I'm doing it at 2 layers is the short one can start from the top and let it droop down. The lower one can then start going for the lower roots. And then at the very top, I'm still going to make a basin and let some of the water soak in there. So then I've got like immediate root zone at the top, soaking down, 30 centimeters soaking down, 60 centimeters soaking down. The 45 centimeter one, it holds 5 liters of water. So you can see how it's quite a lot of water that you can give straight to the root zone. And then what you need to do, which I'll show you, is I'm standing at the edge of the tree, which is called the drip line. What you don't want to do is pop it over there at the base. The roots aren't at the base of the tree. The roots are on the peripheral over here. So just think of if it starts raining, the rain is going to start dripping down here, and that's where the water is being absorbed, taken back to the trunk. So depending on the size of your tree, you want to put it along the drip line, and for these it's going to be relatively close to the trunk because they are still quite young, quite new. And also remember, this is for established trees. You can do it for, sorry. This is for newly planted trees. You need to help them get water wise, get established. You can see some of those trees are doing perfectly fine. They've had no water in 2 months, and some of them are fine, some of them are struggling. But all of those trees, once they're established, they will need 0 watering. So look at your soil, look at your trees. If you're in sandy soil, then you might want to try something else. You might want to put a stop cap at the end of it and drill holes so that the water can get out slower. But ultimately, the idea is to fill it up, and then it starts using its own weight of the water to slowly start getting the water through. I've seen there's farms here that use drip irrigation, but when it's 52 degrees Celsius outside, drip irrigation is useless. That soil is so hot it just evaporates. You need to get under the soil, and I'm going to be putting 3 per tree. So if we look over there, I'm going to put 2 short ones on this side and a long one on the other side. That means I'm going to be giving this tree for each water kind of a good 15-20 liters of water straight to the root zone in clay soil, which should be able to hold at least a week. So that's what we're doing today. We're saving the trees, especially this one. So check out what I do, and hopefully this technique can help you save some of your trees. And just out of interest sake, I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing for my fruit orchards. The fruits for each fruit tree is going to have these sunken in. I'm not going to use drip irrigation. It just uses too much water to have to get it down to the bottom. I mean, just think about it. If you have drip lines around a tree and your tree's roots are, what, 1 meter deep, then for dripping water to get 1 meter deep is going to take a huge amount of water. When it's 40-50 degrees outside, that water is going to evaporate once it hits the soil. So you're really looking at a huge amount of water to water trees via drip, where this, you're breaking through that initial hot, crusty layer and you're letting it soak directly to the root zone. So, the other thing I need to do is, I've got a water tank, but nothing is connected to it yet. So I need to get that connection going. I've got a drag line, which is a 20 mil pipe, and then I can use that to fill it up. I've been probably a bit slack on that. I should have connected that quite a long time ago and been using that water. I just haven't, because I don't know, my brain's been all over the place. So yes, that's what I also need to do, get the tank connected, and then we can water our trees. I'm probably going to give them a good 3-4 waterings. So I'll give them one water, see how quickly the water dissipates and soaks in. Another water, I really want to soak this ground good and proper so we can rehydrate them. Cool, let's get cracking. This is literally like hitting into the tar. This clay ground is so hard when it's so dry, but it's working. So the concept that I had is with a clay bed, as soon as it becomes, sorry, the sweat dripping into my eyes, as soon as it becomes water saturated, it becomes water repellent. I'm sure you've seen that with clay. It just becomes a sludgy mess and there's runoff and it's just out of control. But that's a good thing for me, based on my thinking, is I've soaked this. See? It's now holding water. I've done 3 soaks on the dying tree. I've also soaked the root ball itself over here. And what this is now showing me is that right underneath this underneath this tree, the clay is saturated, it's wet. Now, this is where the super awesome part comes in. This water over here will stay like that. It will stay at that level until the tree or evaporation or whatever starts draining the moisture from the soil or the clay. As soon as the moisture starts being drawn from the clay, the water is going to start drooping in. So you create like a constant cycle, feeding cycle of rehydration for the clay soil. And that allows me to not be here for a week, 2 weeks, because I have 3 of these, which is 20 liters. And that's 20 liters underground at the root ball that is now slowly, as the tree's drinking, is busy releasing water. It's basically like a slow release water system, but that it's not continuously dripping or just wasting. It's all underground. So I am super happy, and I'm sure the tree is also going to be super happy. I am boiling hot and sweating more than I care to imagine. So thanks for watching. It was another cooker, but another productive day. I hope you got value out of this. If you have newly planted trees or struggling trees, give this a go. If you've got sandy soil, drills holes, close the bottom so it doesn't run out. Try things. But yeah, super glad this is working, and hopefully I get to revive these very special trees of mine. So until next time, thanks for watching and enjoy that last bit of view with me. Please subscribe. You can buy me a coffee below. You can follow us out on Patreon as well. Until next time, happy homesteading.